I thought I had the perfect marriage. Amanda and I were high school sweethearts who had built a beautiful life together in Portland. 12 years of marriage, with its typical ups and downs, but nothing major. At least that is what I believed until last Thursday. I came home early to surprise her for our anniversary, only to freeze in the hallway when I heard those words from our bedroom. "Oh my God, he ducked me 3 times today." My wife was laughing as she told this to her sister. My heart stopped. Before I continue this story, let me know where you are watching from, and hit that like and subscribe button if you have ever had your world turned upside down in an instant. Amanda and I met during sophomore year of high school when we were paired up for a chemistry project. The irony of finding romantic chemistry while studying actual chemistry was not lost on us, and it quickly became our favorite story to tell at parties. With her bright blue eyes and quick wit, she captivated me from day one. We dated through high school and college, supporting each other through finals, family dramas, and all the growing pains of young adulthood. After graduation, I landed a job in marketing while Amanda pursued her passion for teaching elementary school. We married in a small ceremony surrounded by family and close friends at a vineyard outside Portland. The first few years were what people call the honeymoon phase, where everything seemed perfect. We bought our first home, a modest 3-bedroom in a good school district, planning for the children we hoped to have soon. As years passed, we settled into comfortable routines. Monday night was movie night. Fridays were for trying new restaurants. Weekends often involved hiking in the Columbia River Gorge or visiting the coast. We had our friend group, our favorite spots and plans for the future. Everyone saw us as the stable couple, the relationship goals that others aspired to achieve. Sure, we had our disagreements. Amanda wanted children sooner while I wanted to wait until we were more financially secure. She preferred spending holidays with extended family while I enjoyed quieter celebrations, just the two of us. But we always found middle ground through communication and compromise. At least that is what I thought we were doing. Looking back, I should have noticed the subtle changes in the months leading up to that Thursday. Amanda had been more distant, often glued to her phone, smiling at texts she would not share. She started going to the gym 5 days a week instead of her usual 3. New clothes appeared in her closet, more stylish and fitted than her typical casual teacher wardrobe. When I complimented the changes she just said, she was feeling inspired to try new things. Our intimate life had become less frequent, too. She was often too tired or not in the mood. Explanations I accepted without question because I respected her space. We were in our 30s now, I reasoned. It was natural for the initial passion to evolve into something more comfortable. Besides, my work had been demanding lately, with a major campaign launch keeping me at the office until late hours. I had not been the most attentive husband either. That Thursday was our 12th anniversary, and I had planned to surprise her. I left work at noon, picked up a bouquet of lilies, her favorite flowers, and bought ingredients to cook her favorite meal. I had even splurged on a sapphire bracelet that matched her eyes, wrapped in silver paper with a handwritten note expressing my love and gratitude for our years together. I entered our house quietly, planning to set up before she returned from school. Her car was in the driveway unexpectedly, which was the first surprise. Amanda rarely came home early on Thursdays since she usually had staff meetings. I figured she might have had the same idea to prepare something special for our anniversary. As I stepped inside, I heard laughter coming from upstairs, 2 female voices. I recognized immediately it was Amanda and her sister Jenna. I smiled, thinking perhaps they were planning something together for the evening. I was about to call out and announce my presence when I heard the words that stopped me cold. "Oh my God, he ducked me 3 times today," Amanda was saying, her voice playful and excited. I was like, "Come on, Michael. You cannot avoid me forever." "So what did you do?" Jenna asked, clearly entertained. "I cornered him in the supply room," Amanda replied with a laugh that sounded nothing like the laughs she shared with me. "He could not escape then. I told him I needed it bad, and he finally gave in." "You are insatiable," Jenna said. "Does Ryan have any clue? Are you kidding? He is clueless, too busy with work to notice anything. Besides, what he does not know will not hurt him." My legs nearly gave out beneath me. The flowers slipped from my hand onto the hardwood floor. I stood there paralyzed as their conversation continued upstairs, oblivious to my presence. Who was Michael? How long had this been going on? And how could she be so cavalier about betraying our marriage? I should have stormed upstairs, confronted them both, demanded explanations. Instead, I quietly picked up the fallen flowers, placed them and the gift on the entry table, and walked out the door. I closed it silently behind me, got back in my car, and drove with no destination in mind. I just knew I needed to get away. I drove for hours north up the coast, the scenes of our life together playing in my mind like a movie I no longer recognized. Every happy memory now questioned, every moment of trust now suspicious. Had there been signs? I ignored. How many Michaels had there been throughout our marriage? Was anything ever real between us? Eventually, I found myself in a small coastal town about 3 hours from Portland. I checked into a motel with an ocean view, turned off my phone, and sat on the balcony watching waves crash against the shore as darkness fell. The rhythmic sound that usually brought me peace did nothing to calm the storm raging inside me. That night was the longest of my life. I barely slept, alternating between numbness, rage, and crushing sadness. By morning, I had decided I would not confront Amanda immediately. I needed time to think, to process, to determine how to move forward with dignity. I also needed evidence beyond what I had overheard, something concrete if this led to divorce. I turned my phone back on to a flood of notifications. 8 missed calls from Amanda, 12 text messages ranging from "Where are you?" to "I am worried sick, please call me." There were also calls from Jenna and a couple of our close friends. Apparently, Amanda had activated the search party when I did not come home. I texted only, "I need some time alone. I am safe. We'll be in touch when I am ready." Then I turned the phone off again and headed to a small diner for coffee. Over the next 3 days, I extended my stay at the motel, called in sick to work, and formulated a plan. I used the motel computer to access our shared accounts and credit card statements. The evidence mounted quickly. Several charges at restaurants I had never been to, always for 2 people based on the amounts. A hotel charge from 2 months ago, when Amanda was supposedly at a teaching conference. Frequent calls and texts to a number I did not recognize, which a reverse lookup revealed belonged to a Michael Davidson. A quick social media search showed Michael worked at Amanda's school as the new physical education teacher. He had started 8 months ago, right around the time Amanda had become more interested in fitness and appearance. The pieces were falling painfully into place. I contacted a lawyer friend, discreetly asking about divorce procedures in Oregon. I transferred half our savings to an individual account, not to hide money, but to protect myself in case Amanda decided to clean us out. I updated my will, removing her as beneficiary. These practical steps gave me something to focus on besides the shattering of my heart. On the 4th day of my disappearance, Jenna called my best friend Tyler, frantic with worry. Tyler was the only person who knew where I was, having guessed correctly that I would head to our favorite fishing spot on the coast. He called to check on me. "Man, Amanda is losing it," he said. "She filed a missing persons report with the police." "What is going on?" I finally broke down and told him everything I had heard and discovered. Tyler was silent for a long moment. "You need to talk to her," he finally said. "Not because she deserves it, but because you need answers to move forward. This limbo is just prolonging your pain." He was right. I had gathered enough information, secured my immediate interests, and the initial shock had subsided enough that I could face her without completely falling apart. It was time to return home and confront the truth, whatever that might mean for our future. I drove back to Portland the next morning, rehearsing what I would say. I would be calm, factual, dignified. I would not yell or make accusations I could not prove. I would simply present what I knew and ask for honesty finally. Then I would decide whether our 12 years together was worth trying to salvage. When I pulled into our driveway, Amanda's car was there along with Jenna's. Taking a deep breath, I walked into the house we had once made together. The flowers I had left were now wilted on the entry table, the gift unopened beside them. Ryan, Amanda's voice called out, breaking as she ran from the kitchen. Her face was puffy from crying hair, unwashed, wearing the same Portland State sweatshirt she had slept in for years. She threw her arms around me, sobbing. "Where have you been? I was so worried." "Why did you just disappear?" I stood stiffly, not returning her embrace. "I think you know why." She pulled back, confusion mixing with relief on her face. What are you talking about? I have been out of my mind. The police, your friends, your office. I have been calling everyone. Jenna appeared from the kitchen, arms crossed, face stern. You have some explaining to do, Ryan. Do you have any idea what you put my sister through? I laughed bitterly. What I put her through, that is rich coming from the accomplice. Accomplice, Jenna looked genuinely baffled. What are you talking about? I came home early last Thursday, I said, looking directly at Amanda, for our anniversary. I heard you and Jenna upstairs. I heard what you said about Michael ducking you 3 times, about cornering him in the supply room, about how clueless I am. Amanda stared at me blankly for several seconds before her expression shifted to one of horrified realization, then unexpectedly relief. Oh my God, Ryan, she whispered. Is that why you disappeared? You thought I was talking about. She covered her mouth, looking at Jenna. Jenna suddenly burst into laughter, which she quickly stifled when I glared at her. Ryan, Amanda said carefully, taking my hands. Michael is the dodgeball instructor at our school. He literally ducked me, as in dodge, during the teachers versus staff charity tournament. 3 times I cornered him in the supply room to talk strategy for the next round, because he was avoiding me after I got him out last game. I stood frozen, processing her words. But you said you needed it bad, and he gave in. His coaching tips. He is a former state champion, and I wanted him to show me how to throw better because I was getting crushed by the 3rd grade teachers. She was half laughing, half crying now. Ryan, did you seriously think I was having an affair with the PE teacher? The one with the handlebar mustache who wears the same tracksuit every day? My mind raced back through all the evidence I had collected. The restaurant staff lunches. The hotel charge. A room mix-up at the teaching conference that had been refunded the next day, buried in a later statement. The phone calls planning for the charity tournament. And field day. I felt my face flush hot with embarrassment, then relief, then a new kind of pain. But you said I was clueless, too busy with work to notice. Amanda's face softened. Because you have been Ryan. You have been so wrapped up in that campaign that you forgot our anniversary was coming. I told you 3 times last week. I even left a note on your laptop. When you did not mention it that morning, I assumed you had forgotten again. The truth hit me hard. She was right. I had been distracted, working late, bringing work home, missing our regular date nights. The anniversary surprise had been my attempt to make up for months of neglect, not a regular demonstration of my attention. So there is no affair, I asked, still struggling to reconcile the story I had constructed with this new reality. No affair, Amanda confirmed. Never has been. Never will be. Jenna, apparently unable to contain herself, added, I cannot believe you thought Amanda was cheating with Mustache Michael. Have you seen him in those shiny track pants? Why did not you just ask me? Amanda said, her initial relief giving way to hurt. Why did you disappear for 5 days, letting me think you were dead in a ditch somewhere? Do you know what that did to me? She was right to be upset. Instead of confronting the situation directly, I had jumped to conclusions, gathered misleading evidence, and essentially disappeared from our life together without explanation. The fact that my suspicions were unfounded did not excuse my response. I need some time to think, I said finally. I am going to stay with Tyler for a few days. Are you serious right now? Amanda asked incredulously. I did nothing wrong and you are leaving again. I know you did nothing wrong, I admitted. But I need to understand why I was so quick to believe you did, why I did not just talk to you. There is something broken in how we are communicating, and I need space to figure it out. Ultimately, she agreed, though reluctantly. I packed enough clothes for a week and headed to Tyler's apartment across town. He was surprised to see me and even more surprised by the true story. Man, you really messed up, he said after I explained everything, but I get it. You heard something shocking, and instead of facing it, you ran. Fight, flight, or freeze, right? You chose flight. The next few days gave me valuable perspective. I realized how much pressure I had been under at work, how I had been neglecting my marriage while assuming it would always be solid. I recognized patterns of avoidance in how I dealt with conflict stemming back to my parents' bitter divorce when I was a child. I also realized how much I loved Amanda and how close I had come to throwing away 12 good years over a misunderstanding born of insecurity and poor communication. I called a therapist and made an appointment for myself, then texted Amanda asking if she would meet me for dinner. We met at the restaurant where we had our first real date 15 years earlier. Amanda looked beautiful but guarded, understandably uncertain about where we stood. I apologized sincerely for my reaction, my disappearance, and most importantly for the distance I had allowed to grow between us. I have been taking you for granted, I admitted, working too much, communicating too little. I think I was afraid that if I slowed down, if I really looked at our life together, I might see problems I did not know how to fix. Amanda reached across the table to take my hand. I have missed you, she said. Not just these past 2 weeks, but for months before that. You have been physically present but mentally elsewhere. I have been lonely in our marriage, Ryan. Her honesty hurt, but it was necessary. We talked more openly that night than we had in years about expectations, disappointments, fears, and hopes. By the end of dinner, we had agreed to try marriage counseling to rebuild what had been damaged long before my misunderstanding about Michael. Our first counseling session was awkward. Sitting across from a stranger trying to articulate feelings I had barely acknowledged to myself was challenging, but the therapist was skilled at drawing us out, at helping us see patterns and break them. Amanda expressed feeling invisible in our marriage, while I admitted to using work as an escape from emotional intimacy. Week by week, we developed better communication tools. I learned to check my assumptions directly with Amanda instead of creating narratives. She learned to express her needs clearly instead of hoping I would intuitively understand. We established weekly check-ins time to talk about our relationship outside of daily logistics. I moved back home after 3 weeks at Tyler's. Things were tentative at first, almost formal, as we navigated our new understanding, but gradually the genuine connection returned stronger for having been tested. We started dating each other again, prioritizing quality time over routines. 6 months after my disappearing act, we faced another test. I arrived at Amanda's school to pick her up for dinner and saw her laughing with a male colleague in the parking lot. He touched her arm briefly as they spoke. For a moment, the old suspicion flared, but instead of shutting down, I used our new tools. I noticed you seemed friendly with that teacher, I said during dinner. Tell me about him. Amanda smiled, recognizing the effort it took to ask instead of assume. That is David, the new science teacher. He was thanking me for helping his daughter in my class. She has been struggling since their move here after his divorce. She reached for her phone, showing me the thank you email from David and pictures of the daughter's science project they had worked on together. The transparency was healing for both of us. By our 13th anniversary, our marriage had transformed. We had weathered a crisis of my creation and emerged stronger, more honest, more intentional in our love. I planned another surprise, but this time I texted her first, coming home early with a special dinner. Anniversary pre-game. Just a heads up so you know I remembered. She replied with a heart emoji, and cannot wait to see what you have planned. No dodgeball today, promise. Her ability to joke about the incident that had nearly destroyed us showed how far we had come. That night after a lovely dinner at home, we sat on our back porch watching the sunset, and Amanda shared news that gave our journey new meaning. The doctor confirmed it yesterday, she said, squeezing my hand. I am pregnant. 8 weeks along. The baby we had delayed, then nearly lost the chance to have, was finally on the way. I held my wife close, overwhelmed with gratitude for second chances and lessons learned through pain. Looking back now as we prepare the nursery for our daughter's arrival, I marvel at how a simple misunderstanding nearly cost us everything. I had created an entire narrative based on a fragment of conversation filtered through my own insecurities and neglect of our relationship. The story I told myself was compelling, consistent with the distance I had created, but completely false. I learned that trust is not just about believing your partner would never hurt you. It is about being brave enough to ask difficult questions directly. It is about creating a relationship where honesty feels safer than deception. It is about working daily to be deserving of each other's faith. Have you ever jumped to conclusions in a relationship only to discover the truth was completely different than you imagined? Share your story in the comments below. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories about relationships, communication, and growth through misunderstanding. Share this video with someone who might need to hear that sometimes what sounds like betrayal might just be dodgeball. Thank you for listening. And remember, in love and life, the simplest explanation is often the truth, but only conversation can reveal it.